yes on immigration reveals a Tory party with no ambition for working people and no ambition for Britain. Just the same old failed ideas, low wages and high tax.
Early next year, the Sunday Times article reveals the slush fund of undeclared, unregulated, and unlawful dark money, more than PS 730,000 of it, that financed the reconquest and reclamation of the Labour Party by its far right wing, using Keir Starmer as the front man. The story centres upon the role of Labour Together, a secretive group as described by Pogrund and York, which played a key role in the Labour leader's election. In developing and underwriting the political restoration of the Labour right through a carefully constructed strategy aimed at supplanting and then eradicating Corbynism by duping the bulk of the party membership with a politically protean but superficially acceptable leadership candidate. At the heart of this stealth operation was Morgan McSweeney, a hard-nosed bureaucratic hatchet man of the Labour right, who is today Starmer's closest aide and advisor with responsibility for running the upcoming general election campaign. The construction of the Starmer leadership, both strategically and financially, was an altogether shadowy, even shady, affair. Secret money flowed through an organization that at the time presented itself as neutral regarding the party leadership, but as its website now openly acknowledges, was actually seeking to lever Starmer into power. According to the Sunday Times account, between 2017 and 2020, McSweeney failed to declare PS 730,000 in donations from a slew of millionaire businessmen, misreported and underreported other payments, and falsely assured supportive MPs that electoral law was being followed. A 2021 investigation by the Electoral Commission found Labour Together guilty of more than 20 separate breaches of the law, imposed a higher-end fine, and rebuked the organisation for failing to provide a reasonable excuse. But by then, as Pogrund and York observe, money at a scale rarely seen in Labour politics had already changed the party's future, setting Starmer on the path to Downing Street McSweeney and, through him, Starmer has since avoided being connected publicly to the scandal until now. The old Watergate adage of follow the money may at last be shedding some media light on Starmer's political ascendancy. The Sunday Times revelations align with Starmer's own refusal to reveal the donors to his leadership campaign until after the ballot, when it was too late. Pull at the threads of this story, and preferred official accounts of Labour Party politics over the last 5 years begin to unravel, revealing a far more sinister picture of anti-democratic plotting and scheming. Lying as political strategy. It's difficult to avoid a sneaking admiration for the clear-eyed ruthlessness with which the Labour right set about their reconquest of the party. In this regard, it's worth giving credit to McSweeney for an accurate insight that should have been better understood by the parties left a serious failure of political education. He recognised that the surge of support for Corbynism within Labour was strategically vulnerable to a challenge that appeared to adopt aspects of Corbyn's critique of Blairism and New Labour, particularly triangulation, lack of principle, and political complacency, but was actually intent upon overthrowing it. McSweeney likely learned this lesson the hard way, having managed the leadership campaign of arch-Blairite candidate Liz Kendall in 2015, which crashed and burned with a humiliating 4.5%, a true measure of the popularity of unapologetic centrism at the time. Never again would the party membership be given a straight vote on third-way Blairism versus democratic socialism. Even the farcical Owen Smith leadership challenge against Corbyn following the 2016 chicken coup was compelled to dress up an obvious Blairite restorationist project as Corbynism without Corbyn a dry run for what became the successful second attempt under Starmer. Despite the iron grip Starmer has since established over the party apparatus through rule changes, purges and dictatorial party management, he is still roundly defeated in conference votes over substantive policy matters. He resorts to bureaucratic outmaneuvering or simply ignoring any outbreaks of party democracy. Understanding the need to operate in secret and via catspaws and other underhanded methods is key to properly appreciating all that has happened since Starmer became leader. It explains something that many observers still find difficult to comprehend: the fundamental reliance of Starmerism upon lying as a political strategy. Politics on easy mode. A massive fraud was perpetrated in the 2020 Labour leadership election. It is now clear that Starmer was a kind of Manchurian candidate, a sleeper agent for entirely other interests than was made to appear at the time. There is little need to rehash how the infamous 10 pledges that underpin Starmer's leadership bid have been serially and comprehensively abandoned. This is by now well understood, with social media awash with evidence so egregious that even occasional mainstream media interviews have sought to hold Starmer to account. His explanations about whether he has broken particular pledges or even made them in the first place shift back and forth according to expediency. It's the classic trap of a tangled web where the liar cannot remember exactly what lies have been woven. What the Labour Together revelations, all those undeclared resources spent on carefully parsing ways to frame a pitch-perfect platform aimed at the party's soft left. Center of gravity suggest is that this was surely the strategy all along, a confidence trick deliberately played on the Labour membership. What's significant, however, is the extent to which Starmer's dishonesty has been facilitated by a mainstream media actively colluding in his marginalization of the left after the shock upsets of the Corbyn period, a form of journalistic omerta. The most dishonest leadership campaign in British political history has also been one of the least scrutinized. Starmer has had the easiest ride of any Labour leader since Blair, able to get away with the flimsiest justifications for his shape-shifting positions because they receive barely a moment of proper scrutiny. This extends beyond factional struggles in the Labour Party to the most fundamental questions of policy. Starmer, Reeves and others have largely been given a free pass on these questions. The result is basic incoherence. To pick an example, almost at random, Starmerism declares itself a break with trickle-down economics, but immediately contradicts itself by insisting on growth as a cure, all while rejecting redistribution or structural changes in the economy. Unless by magic, there is no logical way that growth can benefit most people in any way other than trickling down in Starmer's model. Similarly, Starmer's insistence that when business profits, we all do is the polar opposite of what's happening in the economy. Sellers, inflation, and corporate profiteering have occurred at the expense of the vast majority, with living standards declining as profits have soared, prices have risen, and interest rates have shot up. Only a political party that has hitherto been allowed to play on easy mode could get away with such glaring contradictions. To date, critical examinations of Starmer's Labour have been confined to the margins, as with Al Jazeera's The Labour Files. If the Sunday Times article marks the beginning of a break with that, even if motivated by reasons foreign to the left, it is all to the good. As the prospect of Starmer in Downing Street draws closer, the political provenance of Starmerism becomes an urgent matter of national public interest. It's heartening to note that more books and articles are in the pipeline. Oliver Eagleton's under-noticed book, The Starmer Project, confirms that, however bad you may think Starmer is, he is far worse. There is ample evidence that Starmer is an establishment servant and autocrat, utterly obsequious to state power, and a proven, brazen liar. It's high time that a serious journalist conducted a proper interview with Starmer about his honesty, using evidence, pressing follow-up questions, and getting to the heart of the matter: his constant lying and dissembling. Otherwise, there is every reason to believe that, come the election, another pathological liar will waltz into Downing Street practically unchallenged, to the cost of us all,